We've spent 3 months talking about the cross. And I've brought something in every week prepared and all that kind of stuff. So last week what I asked you to do was, to bring a thought, a poem, scripture, whatever. It doesn't have to be, if you want to do something major, do something major. Otherwise, just a thought about the cross. I thought it would be nice to hear from all of us. Now that doesn't mean if you weren't here last week that you can't participate or say, this is what I think of about the cross or what I've thought of, or, it's just, but we are talking about the cross. So it would be good to stick to that and not end up like on the day of Pentecost or something like that, Now, if you want to talk about the day of Pentecost, go ahead, talk about that day.
That's a good place to go.
That's a good place,
I'm
right.
smiling because Danielle wasn't here last week.
Yes, I was. I
You-
left early.
Oh, you left early. So I let her know that there was a bit of a homework assignment,
Yeah.
and she was glad I told her, and I totally forgot myself. I did nothing.
But you got her to do her homework.
I did.
That's a good dad. That's what dads do.
Memories being what they are.
Yeah.
Well, it was maybe 3:30 in the morning, he wakes up and goes, oh, you were supposed to
We had
do
homework.
something. Like, I can't think about that now, I need to go back to sleep.
Anyway, so there's no order or anything to this in the sense of we got to do this or that. I know, I read do you have that thing that you put on the wells? Do you have that with you?
Yeah, that's what I brought, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody, I saw it this morning, I don't know when you posted it. And I don't remember the name of the guy, I just remember it has something to do with Eastern Orthodox Church maybe or something?
It's a Callistus Ware, yeah. He's a Eastern Orthodox author.
Yeah, so because I read that this morning, and it is really, really beautiful. Could you read that to us? That's what you brought to share this morning?
Yeah, it's just a little, it's an excerpt from a book of his. Love and hatred are not merely subjective feelings affecting the inward universe of those who experience them, but they are also objective forces altering the world outside ourselves. If this is true of my love, it is true to an incomparably greater extent of Christ's love. The victory of his suffering love upon the cross does not merely set me an example, showing me what I myself may achieve if by my own efforts I imitate him. Much more than this, his suffering love has a creative effect upon me, transforming my own heart and will, releasing me from bondage, making me whole, rendering it possible for me to love in a way that would lie altogether beyond my powers had I not first been loved by him.
And there's a lot there. So if you wanted to go to the website, you could read it a couple, 2, 3 more times. And what was it about that? You chose to post that and to bring it.
Because we were talking about reconciliation,
Mhm.
and that was, especially like last week, talking about that a lot, like bringing us into a place where we can live beyond what we're capable on our own of doing, without the cross. And we look at the cross, it's like, wow, it's horrible, somebody was nailed to a piece of wood, and why did he have to do that? But it's, if you look beyond what it actually is, it's like the transformative power of that, to give us freedom from ourselves, really.
Yeah.
In the end, that's what it is. So.
What's the name of that book? Do you know the name of the book that guy wrote?
It's The Orthodox Way. It's a it's a pretty long read, but it's good. It's got a lot of stuff in there.
Is that guy a contemporary writer or?
Yeah, he's actually a bishop in England.
Okay.
And he's pretty well known in England too. Gets along with the Archbishop guy there. What's the guy there in England?
Rowan Atkinson.
Is that him? I don't know who it is, but
Would you text me the name of that book and that guy's name? Because I really like that quote. I'd like to I'm in the market for a book recently. Just about to finish one that, it's really nice, thank you.
I just have a very short,
Yeah.
mine's very short, because it just, for me, what stands out most for the cross is the freedom that it gives us and the wholeness that it brings us into through Christ. Just, you know, that we're just complete because of it, and whole and restored, and those kind of stand
Mhm.
out to me.
No longer bound by the law, by his grace, and be obedient, not sacrifice, the hope that we have in him, knowing that he paid the price for our sins. He's got our backs, kind of thing. He's covered with his blood, and the big thing, that peace and love, the peace that you get from understanding what he went through, and that you always find peace in that cross, and living, living his life in your life. And he's my refuge. So that's the peace that, because I have that refuge, I have peace in my soul because of that. And the love, the unending love that he had for us to do that to his son, let his son die on the cross, is, it's just such a wonderful thing for humankind that he was so gracious to do that for us, to send his son to die on the cross. So that's what the cross means to me.
Thank you.
There's a song Jason Gray sings called More Like Falling in Love, and it's a song I absolutely love, and it's just religion. All it does is make us sinners with a stone tied to our feet, but the cross, it's falling in love. It's a truth that makes us live and breathe and sets us free. And being a mom, I only know a tiny bit of what that kind of love is like, and it's just one that it does, it sets you free from everything.
Thank you for singing that song through, by the way. I was singing it all week. The old Keith Green song, When I Hear the Praises Start. And that tied in so nicely to what we were talking about last week. It was really good, thank you.
Well, I really did start earlier than 3:30 a.m. And what I was thinking about is what it means, take up, what is exactly what he says. Whoever desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. And I'm just really thinking about what that means, and it's I think it's something's working in me, that's not finished, but just think, I kind of got spurred by recently, just talking about like ISIS or people who just want to kill you, and I just, my reaction is I just want to kill them first, but that's really not his reaction. That's not, and trying to come to terms with dealing with rejection or hatred or coming against you. A lot of cases for doing what, for being in him. I think it has to do with that, but so I think something's changing in me, but I can't put words on it, and that's not, I know I'm not finished, no. But I I guess I'd like to understand that, because obviously that was, he said that before he went to the cross.
Right.
I think there's a big thing like he's crucified for something he didn't do. How many times were we accused of things we didn't do? But we fight back and we fight back and we're constantly, trying to make proof and show. It's like, hey, wait a minute, you don't know what you're talking. We're angry and we kind of go at people, instead of forgiving for they know not. I know we were just talking about that somewhat, but
It's funny how you just threw your arms out like that.
yeah.
No, I'm serious, because what you were talking about something that is so important. Screaming it's not fair, and fighting back and the whole thing. And you said, and then you went like this with your arms. You said, when we're supposed to.
Yeah. And God just gave himself. I knew that he did no wrong. But we don't. Because we're like, wait a minute. I this and I didn't. And what are you talking? Instead of. Is it important? It should always be right. Just because you're right doesn't mean you have to be. You know what I mean? And just to humble ourselves. That's kind of what it shows me.
And then humbling ourselves allows us to be elevated to that position where we're actually crucified with him, where we can say, forgive them, they really don't know what they're doing. And that brings us into the reality as blessed are the peacemakers, for their sons are God. So it's an elevation yet to come back down to and we were talking about that. So we're in always these positions where, so just forgive them, they don't know what they're doing. It's like, why are they doing that? Well, they don't know what they're doing, that's why, right? So that you go up and you come back down, just like he said, really, right?
Yeah.
So only in that position can you really start walking as a son and to release peace in almost every situation that we encounter. Because that's what he did.
The two thoughts that came to my mind, well, thinking here, realizing I didn't spend much time with it, was just knowing the openness. I mean, how much more can you open yourself to all your children? To be stretched out, and just be so vulnerable. And then he did that all for us. God bless you. He did that all for us. And then the other thought is thinking everybody in this room has done at one point in their life, and several points I'm sure, physical labor where you're actually struggling with hard physical work, whether it's lifting something, whether it's digging, whatever it happens to be. And I just always imagine, here he is struggling with what has got to be like a railroad tie as he walks to his death. And how much of a struggle they had to be in, but he did it graciously for us. And how could we ever thank him for that?
Pretty amazing how such a awful picture. I mean, if we were to look at a painting or something of a crucifixion, what an awful, awful, awful picture. And all of us in here are expressing the most beautiful thoughts. It's kind of strange, isn't it? Even in the midst of saying how something is very, unfair and all that, somehow our identification with the cross and what he was trying to show us, who we are, that whole thing just explodes with beauty and wonder, even in the midst of suffering that we all experience. We all experience suffering. But isn't that part of what the cross is saying? It does not deny the suffering, but says, in the suffering, though, I'm with you, and there's still something of beauty that you'll see develop and come as a result. It's very fascinating, all the very positive things. How do you get freedom out of somebody nailed to a cross? You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of like we go, yeah, how did I get that from that? I mean, everything that everybody's saying is just as sure a confirmation that we'll ever have that the Spirit of God is in us and upon us. Because only the Spirit of God could reveal these truths that we're all sharing. Whether it be in song, whatever it might be.